This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Hoochmanzada.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It just makes sense.
We are sports. We are nostalgia. We are pop culture. And we're funny sometimes.
I think overall we're just a good time.
They thought we couldn't do it. But guess what?
We're back.
Podcasts are free, and we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
We never knew what we were doing in the first place.
Yeah, that is a good point.
This is why you don't bet week one. Crazy stuff like this happens.
Everything has to be taken with a grain of salt. Besides one thing, that Browns game. I'm taking the whole bottle of salt with that.
I'm gonna lose everything! Ah! How did that just happen?
So there's really nothing he could do here. All he did was prove my point. He said it's the same shit, same as last year.
Yeah.
Yes, Josh, it's
and
the fucking same. Really got him fired up to lose to Texas, huh?
Oh, no.
This season is just going to be a ton of electricity, a lot of fireworks.
Eat your words. Eat your words, Peter. If this is any indicator of how season 4 is going to be, then we're on the right
Best
track.
season yet.
So, Braxton, what are you so afraid of when it comes to a Brazilian wax?
I just told you.
But we weren't recording before.
Oh.
You're afraid of it?
Coming.
No, I'm not afraid of coming. I'm just a little. I've never had my package fondled in the way that I can imagine that it will be by somebody that I don't know. And that concern is not like that I'm going to get aroused. It makes me uncomfortable.
Peter, you say aroused. You say it differently.
Aroused?
No, the way that you say it,
Aroused.
like Chris Hansen. Aroused.
What are you doing here, and why are you aroused? You're here getting a Brazilian, and you are aroused.
Would you be more comfortable if you had coffee with her first?
Probably not, honestly.
You just said you don't know her, so you're not comfortable with
That's
her
not what I said.
shifting around your shaft.
No.
Yeah, do you need to take her out for coffee first?
No, I'll do it.
Okay. So as we prepare for Braxton's wedding, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks, we are going to be getting...
Wrong again. It's 10 days.
Less than 2 weeks. I'll be there in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're renting out, not renting out. We've got a whole barber shop that we're going to. We're going to be getting Brazilian.
Not a half a barber shop.
We got the
whole
barber shop. The whole shop.
Not a quarter.
Exactly. So, and then now, Miguel, just right before the podcast tonight, has peer pressured us both into getting Brazilians.
It's nice, man.
It was on my mind.
It was always
The first time I had it done, I couldn't sit normal on a chair without sliding off.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I'm worried about. So, I mean, I'm worried about
That's not a bad thing.
No, but when you said that, when you started that, you were saying you couldn't sit normal.
No, it's just you just kept sliding off. It was right after, we went to a bar and sat outside.
So, how much time do I need in between it happening and then, feeling normal?
What do you consider normal?
I don't know. I'm just worried about the sensitivity
I can't be at
aspect
my
of it.
wedding slipping out of my seat.
You don't want to go, wee.
Whee!
No, I can't just be
Yeah.
slipping down.
Probably, do it 3 days before, Wednesday before your wedding.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's not going to be a busy day for me at all.
That's not going to be busy. Just,
Well, that whole week is busy for you.
Yeah,
the only day I can think of is Sunday, but Sunday the barber shop thing
Let's
is
do
happening.
it before.
Yeah. My favorite part when
Okay.
you were asking about this
I'm
was you
scared.
said, yeah, you said, when you poop, does it just like fall out now? Which I think is,
It does.
And apparently it does. The one thing I'd be worried about, though, is if you were that person who was on the Delta Airlines flight across the Atlantic who had that just like explosive diarrhea throughout the airplane.
That person's a fucking
Yeah, I heard-
forever a legend.
I heard it was a woman, which is very impressive.
That's even more impressive.
Have you seen the video?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It's insane.
It's gross. It's
But-
explosive.
She
And
didn't-
How
they
is
had
that
to
possible?
they had to have been wearing like shorts. Like for it to have that much spread.
It looks like a murder
So that
scene.
didn't come from like the toilet overflowing. She shit her pants.
all
Yeah.
the way down.
Did you
the
not see the
aisle.
video?
I saw the video, but I couldn't imagine
You
that
couldn't
much shit
conceptualize
coming out of a person. I thought it came out of the toilet and then it just spread down the hallway.
No.
No, she was running up the aisle. And
That much poop came out of her on the way to the bathroom?
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Wow. That's
wow indeed.
is it?
it's even more impressive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does that like make you want to?
That's been on my
Ask her
bucket
out.
list for a while, is to clear, like, I've always
No,
wanted to
no,
clear
it
a
is
place,
not.
but to have a plane turn around and land
Because
emergency
of-
because of me pooping, that's always been a dream of mine.
What is the?
No, it
What do you
hasn't.
think? Like, I haven't followed up on this. What do you guys think the consequences for this woman?
Free flights forever.
Yeah, I know. It's like, should you feel bad for her and
but
you
through,
should
through spirit.
award her for it, or
Do you charge a mother when a baby throws up on the plane?
right? Yeah, I
But-
don't think so.
But you can't make that excuse for an adult.
They had to rip out the carpeting. They just ripped the carpeting out.
I would if I
That's
if
how bad it was. They had to rip the
the cost
carpeting
that's
out.
in my opinion that's the cost of doing business.
All right, yeah.
If they sent her a bill for that, I would be pretty disappointed in Delta.
Yeah. And what about like your flyer miles? You get the miles for that? I guess it wasn't a complete flight at that point.
Yeah, do you still get the miles for an emergency landing that you caused?
That you were the one who did that too. So
That person doesn't have miles. If that person had miles, that means
Yeah.
she flies all the time. That means she knows how
Rich-
to time her poops.
how
Rich
many
pe-
times have you done this?
Rich people who travel don't shit like that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think that's the more concerning aspect of all this is that
What her
you
butt tastes like?
That's yeah, that is
At the
concerning.
end of the day.
But I feel like you kind of feel those types of shits. Like if you have explosive
they're
diarrhea,
coming.
you know you have explosive diarrhea. Like I'm spending every minute that I can on the toilet before the plane, and maybe they did, and maybe it just timing was bad.
You think she shit some on the bag that you used to puke before she ran?
Oh gosh, I don't.
No.
Yeah, I just kind of want to think that it's just like some elaborate ruse for like bridesmaids too, right? Just like, oh, it's happening, it's happening.
That's what she was
Don't
thinking
you
about.
shit on that plane?
What is happening?
You don't remember Bridesmaids where like they
Well,
all
don't make
have
'em do it
explosive
again.
diarrhea?
That was I don't really remember that.
Okay.
I've only seen that movie once.
What? This is another thing. We go back and forth on this about movies that you should see. That is like something that I can.
Yeah, but
quote.
have you guys seen Breaking Bad?
I think that this woman may have had tried the one chip challenge and it just like went through her.
They pulled those off the shelves.
They did. That was the segue because some kid died.
Yeah.
Some kid like
It's no joke.
it's no.
I wasn't playing that shit up. That was one of the hottest things I've ever put in my mouth.
It's wild that like I mean on the
coats your entire
packaging
mouth.
it talks about having like the 21 or older whatever. But, like, obviously kids are going in and just doing it, eating it during class, trying to get, one over on people.
So it's
And-
banned forever,
Well, I mean, for now, it's
For
Poland.
now.
You can't have,
which
like,
means if you get your hands on it, it's more like you can sell it for more.
Yeah, you got a stock?
I got a guy.
You got a guy?
You got a one-chip guy. I wonder what the resale market is now for a 1-chip challenge on like an eBay's.
How much were they? Normal.
I think they were kind of
$4
expensive.
or
Weren't
10?
they like $8?
So
Ton of money.
Yeah, a lot of money for
Resell,
a chip, and to just like
85.
destroy your beehole. So, which is a little bit ironic that like one chip, one death of a teenager, you get rid of it off the shelves, and yet we can't seem to do anything about the tobaccos and the alcohols.
yeah, because those are fine. That's for fun. And
Definitely doesn't kill people.
no.
It's never killed anyone.
Never.
It's never killed anyone.
Is it a fact that was the chip that killed that teenager?
It put them in
They're
the
linking
hospital
it,
where
yeah.
they subsequently died.
They're definitely linking it.
So it could be horrible medical care.
Yeah, it could be horrible medical care.
Could be. That's sad, though. From
Yeah.
a chip?
Mm-hmm.
Dumb kids.
Yeah.
Oh, population
Well.
control.
What else is in your guys' world?
This is the last podcast I'll do with the mullet.
Yes. Show it off real quick. Make sure that people
Take
know.
off your hat.
Show it to the people.
Look at that Taylor Luan looking son of a bitch.
Taylor Luan wishes he had a mullet like this.
You know what was absolutely no joke was the fact that I lost all of my bets this weekend. And I saw this clip from Big Cat from Barstool, speaking of those guys, and I thought that his reaction was kind of very much like mine.
How did that just happen? How do you let him go that deep?
Oh my
I'm
God.
gonna lose everything! Ah! Oh my God, I'm gonna lose everything. This is crazy. How did that just happen?
I feel that.
I've never come across somebody who places as many bets as that guy does. He literally will have like at least one bet on every game.
Yeah, and it's tough to be a Bears fan, but it was tough for me. That's what I say. It was tough for me to betting on the Chiefs. This was me. This is how out of practice I was when it comes to betting, all right? So Thursday night football rolls around. And, of course, it's the beginning of the year. DraftKings is trying to entice everyone to just bet everything.
With Booth.
With Booth. And so I was like, all right, there is a 7-point money line automatic payout thing, right? And I thought that I bet that, but then I ended up betting the spread. So I bet $25 on the spread for the Chiefs to win. I was like, well, I'm still confident in that, whatever. I can't take that back. But then I went on and I clicked the wrong boost button. And so then I did a money line bet on the Chiefs again, and I didn't hit the boost. So even though they did get up 7 points in that game, it didn't pay out, and I lost that. So I'm like $50 in the hole just to start the week.
And you try to make up for it on Sunday
And
and
of
got
course
railed.
I tried to make up for it on Sunday. I bet against you on the Bengals and the Browns. That was a really bad idea. I should have known because the Bengals, this is the second year in a row the Bengals did this. Remember, Joe Burrow had like 4 interceptions in week 1 of last year. The guy's coming off of an injury.
I mean, they're playing the best team in the NFL.
Oh, shut up.
It's pretty tough.
Come on. And so then here I am. On Sunday, it was incredible. I was laying here watching Red Zone.
Out here?
Yeah, it was amazing. I was alone. No one was bothering me. I was just like relaxing. I was chilling. I was like just messing around, placing some in-game bets in like
Messing around.
Yeah, no, come on now. Not yet. I'd let you know, and it will be right where you're sitting.
Don't let me know.
And okay, I won't. It'll be suspense. You'll be like, why can't I get up? It's so sticky. And so I'm sitting here. The Chargers are about to go up. I thought they were going to score a touchdown. And so DraftKings hits me with a plus 120 at minus 4.5. And I go, sure, let's bet that. They end up losing by 2 points in that game, so I get crushed there. The Vikings kill me because of Tampa Bay. This is why you don't bet week 1. This is why you do not bet week 1. Crazy stuff like this happens. We knew that the Vikings weren't going to win these types of games all the time, but come on, it was Baker Mayfield. I spit everywhere from that one.
I kind of like him.
Why? Because he made me lose money.
I wish we could play little bits and pieces from last week's episode just to
Remind
incorporate.
me of how dumb I am.
Yeah. What were
I'm not liking the Dolphins this year.
What were the takes? Yeah, it was the uncertainty with Tua. I'm not sure. That's one. And then the very end of the episode last week was Braxton going, lock of the week, guys. Bills -2.5. Lock of the week. If you're betting it all, lock of the week.
I mean, but I think that it would be hard to argue that the Bills totally threw that game away.
Oh,
they
God.
easily could have won that game. They had every opportunity and chance to win by double digits, but just did not put a single thing together. They looked like shit.
This is probably how everyone in Buffalo, New York sounds. Our team shot themselves in the foot. They played like shit. There's absolutely zero credit to the New York Jets defense. Josh Allen played like shit. Our team just fucked up. They could have won it. Yeah, no credit at all to the fucking defense that completely shut them down.
All credit goes to the defense. I mean, the Jets' defense is very, very good. They are the real
One
deal.
guy picked them off 3 times, and he fumbled twice and lost it once.
And that guy got $250,000 already.
That
for
was
an
a
incentive
season-long
bonus.
bonus.
Yeah. The season-long bonus. And we'll talk about the Jets and the Bills in a second. I want to do some by the numbers for you guys. So, in week 1, underdogs were 9-6 against the spread. The road teams were 12-3. The road underdogs were 8-2, and the unders hit 11-4. Or 11-4.
Unders you could see coming. We
Yeah,
say that
you
every
can see the
season. It's like
unders.
you let the dust settle until like week 4 or 5. Usually it's under.
Yeah, pretty wild. First time since 2006 that there have been 12-plus road covers in week 1. So,
I love as much as
screw me, and I even saw the stats on this too.
Of
They were
course you did.
talking about this, and I was like, nah.
You want to know why?
Why?
You're dumb.
Yeah, because I saw it, and this is what I did. And I go, I trust analytics. I like this. I'm going to fade that, and I should have faded myself.
It's off season for everyone, First week for all of us.
Just never bet week 1 again. You need to remind me of it.
what a perfect example of somebody who doesn't bet that much. To absolutely lose it from one day.
Look me up and down, boys and girls.
I did okay in gambling this weekend.
Yeah, and you showed up even without socks.
I did. That's fact.
You did better than me, and you came in sockless Crocs.
These are secondhand socks.
Secondhand socks. How dare you?
Yeah.
I like as much as we all lost bets, maybe except for you because you're a pro.
I still lost $5 overall.
I think it's pretty cool that DraftKings refunded every Aaron Rodgers
Yeah,
bet,
that was
not
true.
just on Sunday, but futures. There was a guy who placed a big parlay on overs and unders and just total points, and it was like $5 to pay, I think, $60,000.
Damn.
And he was being offered a cash out at halftime of the Monday night game, and he needed it to be under 45, and he let it ride, so he won. And there was a woman who claims that her husband has been making her watch football for the last 3 years because of fantasy, and she placed an every game parlay for $20 to win, I don't know how, $30,000, and it hit.
Jesus.
Those are the people who win bets, not us.
Not us.
Yeah.
Right. You never
look at us. We look at stats and
Yeah, you never,
history.
especially when it comes to March Madness, you never want to bet against the gal in accounting who just picks off of colors and mascots.
fucking
It's true.
Margie
Yeah.
It's always
always has
Margie.
Furman winning.
Marge or Ann, it's always one of those. Always one of those.
all right.
So, okay,
We'll
so
be all right.
let's move. Let's switch. Let's talk about the Bills and Jets game. Obviously, 4 plays in, Aaron Rodgers goes down. We see his Achilles roll up like one of those little snap sticks that you put around your wrist or whatever. It just whoop, and it was brutal. He was rushed 3 times in those 4 plays.
That's sad. Man.
And he's done. He's done for the year. And I want to get you guys' initial reactions there, and then talk about too just kind of like where they're at in general. So initial reactions there.
It's sad. Like, look at how his team played. You can't tell me that they are not dangerous with him on the field.
Yeah.
He's better than Zack Wilson even at 40. And you can see Hackett scrambling, trying to find basically a playbook that fits Wilson because he had the game prepared for Rodgers.
Yeah.
And their defense is so good. They were good at the second half of last year, and you can see how much they've improved, and people knew even before Hard Knocks that defense was going to be good. With him on the field, you can't tell me that people aren't scared of him, and it's really sad for him to go down. I wanted to see what they would look like with him on the field.
Yeah, I was very excited to watch the Jets this year, and I thought that they were going to take big steps forward. Obviously, with the kind of talent that they have on both sides of the ball, I was really excited about it. How can you even think that this is going to happen? What a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. I mean, in the moment, I was like, oh, he, maybe tweaked his ankle. He'll be back here. And as soon as they brought the card out, it was like, what the hell is going on? It was kind of like Twilight Zone because, I mean, there was so much hype and so much attention on him playing for this team and with Hard Knocks following the Jets. I mean, it's really unfortunate, but.
Yeah, I mean, like you're talking about, some of the people who were at the game were talking about this type of atmosphere for a Jets game has never happened at MetLife Stadium. Some people weren't even in their seats yet because there was that weather delay or there was inclement weather kind of right up before the game. So, some people aren't even in their seats and then they're sitting down and they're going, wait, why is Zack Wilson in the game? Like, I don't get it. Where's Aaron?
Yeah, wasn't Peyton Manning during the Manning cast was like, I thought he was playing this up. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Is Zack Wilson still there?
Yeah, and Peyton Manning was like, I literally just watched Aaron Rodgers' film from Cal and with the Packers. I've got nothing else for you tonight. I did no other preparations other than just watching Aaron Rodgers' film for the
You know what's sad, too, is you've seen an Achilles tear with other athletes, right?
Yeah.
And it always looks like nothing. And then you see him walk away, and it's like, it's not. And with Rodgers, it was pretty obvious with the cart and all that. But the injury doesn't look that extreme when it happens.
Yeah.
Like with Kobe, with Kevin Durant losing his shoe. And it's like, oh, they could walk off.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. But it's like, you can start to see the similarities when you tear your Achilles. When it's like, it doesn't look like it's a big deal, but then.
Right, because a lot of
It's
guys,
a really big deal.
A lot of guys
It's a
who
huge
have
deal.
gotten an Achilles injury. One of my former coworkers, he recently this past winter tore his Achilles. He goes, people are really right when they say like it just feels like you got kicked in the back, like riding your Achilles. It just feels like you got kicked. It's not one of these things where you tear your ACL or whatever and you're just like in agony. But it is one of these things where, and I think I heard Kyle Brandt say it from NFL Network, where it's like, you're not injured at that point. You're broken. Your body is broken. It like, physically cannot like operate anymore.
Don't they call it like an old injury? It's like it's like a 40 and over injury, even though it happens to people that are a little bit younger than that.
I mean, and there's a lot of attention about the turf. The MetLife turf has been under scrutiny, and the past turf in general in sports has been under scrutiny. I'm curious if you guys think that, there's obviously merit to it because like what you're seeing is like the stats to back it up. But, I mean, when it comes down to it, like, MetLife is a stadium that houses all of these concerts, and it's like a multifunctional event, and in order to basically, like, not have to put in grass every time a concert comes through, they have to be on this turf, and so that sacrifices player safety.
And I think they were kind of touting the fact that I think they had 4 professional. I don't know if it was professional team or games or like events, but MetLife, they had 4 different events in 5 days. And basically, they were all proud of themselves that they could make this happen. But it's like 2 of those events were professional football games on back-to-back days. The turf probably isn't in its best condition when you're doing that, if you had concerts and stuff the days leading up to it. But yeah, it's just honestly, it's sad, and you can point to the turf, you can make all these different excuses, but it doesn't change the fact that it happened. And I think that the thing that now is on everybody's minds is this for somebody who's 40 years old? Is this kind of the end? Because coming back at 40 years old from an Achilles injuries is going to be very, very difficult.
And so what do you think? Are you thinking that, I mean, I can't imagine that this is what Aaron Rodgers foresaw when he was in his darkness retreat, right? And he says that he's going to come back and he's going to do this. At 40 years old, I mean, we're not as hyper competitive as a guy like Aaron Rodgers, and obviously, like, his commitment to come back and go to the Jets was because they were going to be championship ready, or at least that was his hope. So does he come back?
I hope it's not the end health-wise, but I don't see him hanging it up after. He's not ending it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that he will want it to be over.
Yeah,
I think it would only be over if he can't physically play. I think if he has a chance to play and come back from it, this will not be his last stint on the field. Like, I think he joined the New York Jets for a reason, and he would want to see how it would turn out for a season.
I think my concern is that, because I agree with you, but with something that serious, like you said, it's a serious break in your body that is very difficult to heal. It takes a lot of time. He's going to be out at minimum for this season and into the off season. And will he be able to come back and be anywhere close to the level of talent and skill that he was?
Right. I mean, he was never overly. Oh, I'm sorry. He was never overly mobile in the first place.
No.
But I mean, I think that it's more than just that.
And I think that you don't want to tarnish the legacy. I think legacy, especially for guys like Aaron Rodgers, is so important and valuable. And I think he will always be known as a great quarterback. But I think, this is obviously going to be one of the highlights of his career, is that time he joined the Jets and 30 seconds into the game, he had a season-ending injury. Oh, and then he tried to come back. He was half the man he used to be, washed up, not worth anything. And that's, I would hate for that to happen to a guy who is as good as Aaron Rodgers is.
Which is why I don't think it would be his last round. And also, we live in a different time than athletes back in the day. You've seen people come back from a torn Achilles.
Yeah, but usually they're, 10 years younger.
Yeah, I've seen he is a little bit younger, but Kevin Durant had his prime years after tearing his Achilles.
I'm not saying it's
Kobe,
impossible.
You can't say for the same way, but Aaron Rodgers is around that same age. Also, NFL protects quarterbacks, so he could come back and mentally know that he'll be fine. Like, it wouldn't fuck with him.
And I hope he does. I really do. I was genuinely excited. I think like all of us were, to see the Jets play, because the Jets are the kind of team similar to the Browns in a sense, where it's like nobody really cares about them, so it's easy to root for them. It's easy to say, hey, I'd love to see the Jets do well this year, because in a lot of ways it's like, them doing well is doing better than 500 this year, and I can handle that. It's not going to kick my team out of the playoffs. Right. So it's like I think everybody, kind of America, was rooting for this.
Did we have any? Did we have any Jets bets? If we do, we can nullify those at this point.
No. Here's the deal. I'm not you. Braxton and I have a Jets bet. That stands. That's gambling.
Well, it was like a team record bet, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not Peter.
Okay.
I mean,
so
if it was like
it.
a quarterback focused bet, then I think it would make more sense. But the
bet
like
was
who was team is a team.
If the bet can't go on because it's Aaron Rodgers focused, then yeah. But That's part of gambling. Injuries will happen, and the Jets make the playoffs.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson could tear his Achilles next week.
Yeah, people who had the Jets at they were at plus 1,600 before the game, plus 6,000 after the game. The Packers actually have better odds than the Jets at this point to win the Super Bowl.
Well, and one thing that, and I know that Miguel has opinions on this, and we might disagree, but I don't think that this is all of a sudden a sign of who the Bills are either. I think that, and I want to say this first. I'm not trying to take away from how incredible the Jets played, especially their defense. That defense is real deal. And if they can stay committed like they were in that game to playing their hearts out, because they were doing that for Aaron, for the city, 9/11 in New York. They were going to play their absolute hardest in that game no matter what. However, as the season continues on and you have BYU boy, why am I forgetting his name?
Zach Wilson.
Zack Wilson as your quarterback, and you continue to see those issues that he's shown in the past, which I assume he will continue with. You saw it even in that game. He was having a hard time completing passes. I think any team you will see regression. And that's, I think that the Jets defense will be the only shining hope of that team, unfortunately, moving forward. However, did the Josh Allen play like shit? Absolutely. Did the Bills play like shit? Absolutely. But this is a very long season, and I think it would be stupid to believe that all of a sudden, because this one game, the Bills aren't going to be a playoff team.
I'm curious where you stand on this, because I don't disagree. This is not a sign that the Bills are going to be shitty, because they're a good team. That defense is just as solid as New York Jets. Mm-hmm. My point is their leader, the guy who leads them on the field.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy who was a monster in college. That's the reason he got drafted. He had a fucking cannon for an arm. He didn't come in as like an undrafted, 6-rounder, and then he just blew up with Buffalo.
Yeah.
He was good. They knew they were drafting a good quarterback. The thing that's different with him, and my problem is every other quarterback we talk about, Jalen Hurts, even Herbert, even Joe Burrow, these guys have gotten significantly better every year in the league. Like, better. They have made jumps. Big jumps every year in the league. Not Josh Allen. He has made the same boneheaded mistakes every single year. And a sign of a good quarterback is not always making the flashy play, that little Patrick Mahomes sidearm, all that shit. Sometimes the sign of a good quarterback is knowing when to go down and not fucking sling it in the middle of nowhere. Just go down and not commit a turnover. At this point in his career, with how he is being presented, he has not improved in the league.
And I think that you have ground to stand on with that opinion after that performance. But I also think that if you have those same opinions, you could say, oh, well, look at a Joe Burrow. He just got this biggest contract. He had the worst game he's ever played. He had turnovers. He had a terrible completion percentage.
Right after becoming the NFL's highest paid player.
Yeah, exactly. And are the points you're making correct at the moment? Yes. But I obviously we have different opinions about Josh Allen, but
what I'm saying is I'm not just basing it off of one game. You can bring up Joe Burrow playing like shit. Since he came in the league, he's gotten better.
Yeah.
He has eliminated some of the shitty mistakes, and that which still could show up, every other game, whatever. I've not seen Josh Allen make those big leaps like the other quarterbacks have. And maybe I wouldn't point this out as if he's not being held to the standard of an elite quarterback, but he is.
Okay, so
I hold him to a higher standard.
Josh Allen now 0-5 in overtime games. In his second career game with 4 turnovers. Here he is after the game let's react to it on the other side.
Is that something that they did, or is that just you maybe forcing the ball, trying to force the ball in a little bit?
Yeah, trying to force the ball. Yeah, same place, different day.
What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate on what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I hurt our team tonight. I cost our team tonight. And it feels eerily similar to last year, and I hate that it's the same. I do.
Okay, so when he says this and he does the, and then, he cusses for dramatic effect and everything, I think that it's just like one of these things where he's just going, aw, shucks. And it's kind of, he's playing into the media a little bit so that he's giving them that big sound, that good sound bite. He's doing all that. He's playing into it. He's obviously good with the media. And I think,
you really think that he put all that thought in before he had this conversation?
I do.
That's a media take.
Yeah.
My take is completely. My take is just him as a player.
No.
Okay, so real quick before
only media people think about media people that way.
It's true.
It's not. I think that he does not view the people he's talking to right now as that important at all. To put that much thought into, okay, I got to really play this up.
Because he knows he's going to get ripped for it.
Let's consider the fact that his biggest critic in his world is him. Do you think that I'm surprised he only cussed once? I would be absolutely livid if I was in his position.
I don't
probably
think that
wouldn't.
He seems overly mad here. He's just going,
I disagree.
shucks, oh darn.
But to your point, if he was overly mad, you would still criticize it by saying he's playing up to be like really angry.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing he could do here. All he did was prove my point. He said it's the same shit, same as last year.
Yeah.
Yes, Josh, it's the fucking same.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. The mistakes that he made in that game were eerily similar to the dumb mistakes that he's made in the past. The one thing I don't agree with is that he hasn't grown since his coming into the league. I think Josh Allen has improved quite a bit. Not maybe in the same ways that like a Joe Burrow has, taking his team to a Super Bowl, being able to win in those overtime moments in the playoffs or in those bigger moments, or taking risks that he shouldn't. But he still has grown quite a bit from his time in Wyoming.
So let me tell you about his last 19 games then.
Okay.
This is from...
Is that when he came from Wyoming? I think it was a little longer than that.
It was a little longer, but you're talking about the growth of.
Yes.
And maybe he had grown to a degree, but since week 1 of 2022, he has played in
Braxton some facts
19 games. He has, in those 19 games, he has 20 interceptions and 17 fumbles.
That's not good.
So that's 37 picks or fumbles in 19 games. That's averaging 2 turnovers per game. And I mean that's not good.
So then
it's not good at all.
So then let's point out, what do you mean by growth? Throwing touchdowns? Because growth is not making dumb decisions by slinging the football and throwing picks and fumbling. Being able to control yourself and say, I'm going to throw it out of bounds. I'm going to go down. I'm just going to take this loss of down instead of committing a turnover. Those are big quarterback leaps, growth. That's what it is. That's why you've seen a Jalen Hurts take his team to the Super Bowl in his 3rd year in the league. Same with Joe Burrow. He has not done that. He's making the same idiotic mistakes every year.
But again, I'm not disagreeing with that. However, I'm saying who were the Buffalo Bills before Josh Allen?
But that's why we're talking about him in this way. He's that good. We hold him in such a high regard because he's a fucking elite quarterback. But you expect more than this person that's put in front of you saying, this is where you need to be.
And all
Not
I'm
go
saying
like this.
and really the difference is that I believe that he has the capability to do those great things, to be put into that upper echelon.
So do I. I don't think he's dead.
Yeah.
But it's like, when, dude?
Yeah.
Like, when are you going to fucking turn it around and be the elite of the elites?
I don't think... Yeah, I agree. But it's not like he's never shown that.
He's shown flashes of it.
Exactly.
An
It's just
elite
creating that
quarterback
consistency.
does it consistently.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Do you think I'm curious to know your thoughts on this? Maybe I'm just like I'm overly simplifying this. Do you think that based off of like the structure of their team, especially on offense, especially because there's no running game or at least a dynamic one, that he feels like he has to do too much, that he has to win that game, that he has to make that play, that he has to force that ball, and that what he is doing is actually
Hurting
being,
the team more.
Yeah, being a little bit more reckless within his decision making, that he is making decisions because of a product of how things are structured right now. Not to take away any accountability on his actions.
Well, first of all, he would not make those excuses. I don't think he would say that. And I would agree with him. I don't think he's the type of person that would use a scapegoat saying, I need to do this because I don't trust this. They have enough. I think they have enough for him to be a little bit more mature and not do things to ultimately hurt the team. They don't have a fucking Priest Holmes or a fucking Emmitt Smith in the backfield, but they have enough.
Yeah, it's not like James Cook is,
a schmo.
Yeah, bagging groceries on the other weekends.
True. But I mean, like, to a degree, they haven't had a dynamic run attack for a while. I know that there were rumors last year that maybe they were going to go after Christian McAfee or whatever before he was traded to the 49ers, but still.
I think he is the type of athlete that is so good. He's always been good, I think, in every level that he's played at, that he hasn't had to work at other things to become the person that maybe somebody like us expects him to be.
I mean, the only college that recruited him out of high school was Wyoming. It's not like he was incredibly touted. He definitely had to work hard to be where he's at.
But one thing I don't see from him is, like, when really elite athletes talk about the game slowing down for them, I don't see that when he plays. I see that with every other star, when like the game slows down and they're able to do what they want to do. It seems like sometimes he's in a panic mode.
I think you're forgetting though, like they still won, 13 plus games last year. Like, let's not take. There are plenty of times that he rain dances on people. He was the #1 fantasy scoring quarterback last year. Let's not take this one game and all of a sudden forget that Josh Allen is highly regarded as a top 5 quarterback. He has brought the Bills to a prominence to where they are competing and in the talk for a Super Bowl every single year. Yes, I agree. They haven't gotten there. They haven't won anything. That is the goal. But let's not forget that this guy, he definitely has had moments where it looks easy for him, where he's running around stiff-arming people in the dirt, throwing 60-yard dimes. And I guess that's kind of my only point. Obviously, I'm a fan of his. I like the Bills. I love Josh Allen. I think he's awesome.
Maybe one day he'll be half a Dan Marino and just be good individually, but no Super Bowls. And isn't that what we all want? Just be good individually and no Super Bowls? And
I was literally just going to say, but the thing is that I do agree. He has gotten to the point of his career where just, being that statistical anomaly on a fantasy team for a year or being that top 5 quarterback in the NFL at the end of the year, he needs to start racking up Super Bowls, and that should be the focus. However, I don't think this is the end of the Bills. I think that I think the Bills come out next week, and whoever they play should be very worried. I think that Josh Allen is going to put a clinic on. And the Bills are very easily going to be in the playoffs this year. I still think they win the division.
They do have the Raiders in week 2, so a good bounce back, and it will be their home debut as well.
Didn't the Raiders
Now
win?
let's talk about a real team.
No, but I want to one more thing. I want to finish off a couple of things with the Jets. I know we've spent a lot of time around this game, but I do think I'm interested to hear you guys' thoughts. Right now, the Jets are basically saying, like, this is Zack Wilson's team. There's also been some reports that they're considering a veteran quarterback. So do you lean into Zack Wilson or do you search elsewhere?
The only quarterback that is going to bring more hype and more excitement and more eyes and more attention
Last name Wentz, first name Carson.
is Colin Kaepernick.
No.
Tom Brady.
And apparently his agents have reached out to him. The Tom Brady thing is ridiculous as well. The man, I feel like he's happy in retirement.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
He's looking a little lighter as well. And you can't go play for the Jets if you just went at the Patriots game this last weekend and says that you're a Patriot for life, and then you go and you're the Jets quarterback.
I get that all the focus is like quarterback because that's the most popular position and that's the most important. But this team isn't going near like a conference championship or even a Super Bowl. That's just ridiculous. But I've seen teams with this type of defense make it pretty far.
Yeah.
With an average offense. I mean, that defense is fucking scary.
Right. I mean, we've seen Brock Purdy do it with the 49ers, albeit their offense was pretty dynamic already.
That offense isn't loaded at all.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying that, like, when you're thinking about the quarterback, you're just trying to, like, not lose a person a game versus, like, be the one to go out and win the game. There are a couple of names that are intriguing to me. One is, like, a Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford could get traded by the Rams, and then they could get picks back, which they don't have picks. They could tank. They could try and get Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams could stay in L.A. And then you have Matthew Stafford, who is that there was a report about that before they had even explored Aaron Rodgers, that maybe they were going after Matthew Stafford. They could re-engage on that. The next name to me, and then if you guys want to respond to the Stafford deal, is Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy was dumped by the Cardinals because he was too serviceable of a backup, so that then they could bring in Joshua Dobbs, to then be essentially the starter until Kyler Murray comes back. Colt McCoy has been a very good backup for a while. The only problem is, does any quarterback fit in Nathaniel Hackett's system? The only name that we know that has played in a Nathaniel Hackett system, other than like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, would be like a Blake Bortles, of people who are still relatively in the league.
Blake Bortles is retired.
Allegedly. I mean, there's a lot of guys who are
He's
retired.
playing golf.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. So I mean, do
Well,
either of those
it's gotta
names
feel like
tickle
shit
your
if
fancy?
you're Zack Wilson. They're like, oh, I just helped win a game, but they're shopping around
They're
right now.
still not gonna give it to you.
Well, and it's like, Zach, you kind of put yourself in this position,
Yeah.
buddy. You were a complete asshole last year and played like shit. Another name that's been floating around is Carson Wentz, and
Yeah, I can't do that.
if you want to make Carson Wentz the most hated person in New York City, then give him a call and sign him to that team. New York, I just feel like he's a pretty sensitive guy, and I feel like they would rip him apart because he's not going to do well. He's going to play like shit. The Jets are going to tank.
Real bad.
And you've got all these Jets fans who came into this season. Honestly, whoever steps in is going to get this. But all these fans are so excited to have this season finally. It's been since Mark Sanchez and the butt fumble that this team has been in the playoffs. And
So in a way, this is why you have to go and get someone else other than Zack Wilson.
what about like a Matt Ryan?
I mean, he's up in the broadcast.
I've seen his
dude.
name up there.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
he's
he's
up-
been tossed around.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a Matt Ryan or a Colt McCoy?
I mean, Matt Ryan couldn't throw the ball more than 20 yards.
I honestly, I think I would either stick with Zach or get like a Colt McCoy, a veteran quarterback who is like has some self-confidence, who isn't going to be like all like okay with the backup job. Colt McCoy is a guy who can come in and be okay with the backup job, have a true quarterback competition, and let the best man play. I think that's really what you got to do.
If they're not sticking with Zack Wilson, and you had to choose someone else, I think the name that's been thrown out that I would lean towards would be Flacco. Because if I'm taking vet, first of all, I'll take a vet, and I'll take one that's won a Super Bowl. I think,
and he was there last year, albeit with a different coordinator, but still.
But I'll take Flacco.
Yeah.
I think he'll do better.
You know, something that kind of sticks with me, too, is still this comment that Aaron Rodgers made in camp. And I know that everything is still very much up in the air. But he was kind of saying that, like, he is going to do this up until he can hand the reins back to Zack Wilson.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe he sees that confidence. Maybe it was just lip service or whatever. But to say that and then in this instance go, like, he is going to get killed in this situation, no matter, unless it's like deep playoffs or Super Bowl, right? So I mean, like, he's not going to live up to expectation. And if maybe the eventual goal is to groom this guy into being a successor to an Aaron Rodgers, to learn under a Hall of Famer, and maybe, who knows? Like, I mean, Zack Wilson had a better quarterback rating than Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen this past weekend, and a number of other people. It still wasn't great, but it was better than all those guys.
Yeah.
And plus, again, we're talking about this fresh off of the Monday night game. What happens if Wilson plays well in the second game? You know, do they shut down picking up another quarterback? What happens if he plays well in the third game? Could him having those jitters be because he wasn't expecting to play in week one?
Still learning Nathaniel Hackett.
That's why
no.
I think it's smart to bring in a veteran guy who's not, obviously they're hungry to be a starter, but they are not going to make waves if they're not, who can come in, have a true quarterback competition, and if he earns the job, he gets to play. I think that's for those reasons, I think that's why that's smart. Because, I mean, the kid's talented. He's an athlete. He might be young. He might be dumb, but I don't know. I really don't know. And like I said earlier, as soon as the offense can't perform as well as the defense, and I don't think this is specific to the Jets. I think any NFL team that has such dominant defense and an offense that can't do shit, resentment's going to grow. The defense is going to stop playing as hard, stop caring, because it's like, why? We're out here all the fucking time because our offense can't do shit, can't put points on the board. So what's the point?
Yeah. And who knows? I mean, like, if they can't, like, we'll see if they finally can put up points. It was interesting to see that there was that promo. I don't know if you guys saw, there was this news story. There was a local news covering a story in Wisconsin. These people go to a bar, and the whole promo was that if the Jets
If Aaron Rodgers
loses, then all of their bar tabs are free.
So they start racking it up.
So then Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, and they are just starting to run up their tabs because they're thinking that it's going to be just the greatest night, and they're going to be drinking for free, and then the Jets go off, and they win.
And the last thing, because we've talked this into the ground, but the last thing I wanted to say, if you did watch Hard Knocks, you saw Gipson, that player,
cool,
who was one of the wide receivers that they focused on at the end, that was kind of friendship between those two guys. I forget the other guy's name.
Brownlee.
Yes. And to see that they announced on Hard Knocks at the end, they said that they both made the team. Hopefully they can get some playing time. And in that overtime punt return for Gipson to return that for a touchdown, coming from like some no-name college, barely made the team. That's what you love to see.
Yeah, I have the Jets call somewhere on here. Here we go.
And getting away, a line drive kick is Sam Martin. Gipson runs under it at the Jet 35. Starts to his left, gets to the 40, turns the corner at the 45-50. Blockers in front at the 40, at the Bills 30, inside the 20. Stunner steps to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown!
That's awesome.
And it's a Jet touchdown! This game is over!
What a way to end Monday Night Football. Gipson's going to take this one back
63 yards for the touchdown.
Fuck all those people that were pointing at that block. That just to like nitpick and be negative. That was not a that wasn't a low block. That was a blocker throwing his body, and the defender jumped. That's the only reason it looked low, is because he jumped over him. He wasn't trying to take his legs out.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I think that in football there's two ways to go about things, and I know that people complain about calls a lot, but it's like, at some point as a fan, if you understand football well enough, the call's the call. And shit gets miscalled all the time. And have I gotten pissed about stuff being miscalled? Absolutely. But it's like some of these people say, oh, that win doesn't count. Or they go so far to say, oh, there's an asterisk on that because this call was missed. It's like, no, that's part of the game. It's a part of the game that calls get missed. And is it unfortunate? Yeah. Can you be upset about it? Yeah. But it doesn't change a fucking thing. It is what it is. You gotta just take it.
Let's be clear. The Jets punt return, there was no call missed.
Yeah.
There was no call missed. That was not a low block at all.
I did think it was kind of funny. And I think you've brought up this hypothetical before, especially when it pertains to like either punt returns or tackles or rushes or something like that. And I got a kick out of this tweet that I saw where it says, if someone says I could tackle Derrick Henry if I had 10 tries, show them this video. And it's of Gipson running it back, and then he's one-on-one with the Bills kicker at the time.
This was pitiful.
And he goes, whoop, just kind of pushes him while jumping off to the side.
Two-hand touch, it counts.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
what was that? It was a two-hand touch.
You show up to an 8-year-old football practice, first day of pads, right? You're teaching these kids tackling. One of the first things that the coach is going to tell these kids, don't leave your feet. Keep your feet on the ground. Drive through them. And the first thing that Tyler Bass or whatever,
Yeah.
he just hops up and reaches his arms. It's like, yeah, that's why you don't leave your feet, you dummy.
That's why you're a kicker.
Dope. Yeah. Any other overreactions from week one? Obviously, like there was the Tua Justin Herbert bit where I was talking about how it was like not as high on the Dolphins just because of how tough the division was going to be. But, Tua, he performed. And despite the Chargers now scoring over 30 points a game in their last 3 games, scoring 94 points in 3 games, 0-3 in those games.
My take on the Chargers is the same. They look like the same team.
They'll
go toe-to-toe with touchdowns and put up points.
And it's going to be high scoring, and it's going to be electric.
They're the same team.
Yeah, though. The fact of the matter is I remember telling myself and you guys the same exact thing last year, is that obviously I have opinions. We're on a podcast, so I'm going to give my opinions on the games.
You do.
But I cannot
say.
take anything seriously in the NFL till week 4.
Okay.
Everything has to be taken with a grain of salt. And when that comes to betting, winning, playoffs, whatever, grain of salt. Besides one thing. That Browns game. I'm taking the whole bottle of salt with that thing. Put them in the Super Bowl.
Cook for you. I thought the 49ers looked pretty incredible. There were a lot of people who thought that the Steelers were going to perform a lot better. That did not go so well.
I think the shock comes from the teams we thought were going to be fucking bad that put up a fight or won.
For sure.
Arizona, Houston, the Rams.
The Colts were tough for a while.
Fucking
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, like the bottom of the barrel teams putting up a fucking fight and fucking my spreads.
Yeah, they sure did.
And then like the Seahawks.
Yeah,
the
that
Giants.
was real bad. Oh God, did either of you guys have the Giants? Did you guys put any money on the Giants?
I had the Giants plus.
They were in an alt spread.
I had the Giants in an alt spread.
I had Giants like plus 19 or something like that.
Oops. Yeah.
You know that's bad when a plus 19 doesn't hit.
Yeah.
There's like 4 or 5 blowouts in the season typically that you don't expect, like a 40-0, and sucks to see that in week 1.
Yeah. The one thing, there was a stat that I saw, just kind of back to the Steelers side of things, because there were a couple of things. Like, I don't think the Bears are going to be very good this year, despite the fact that people thought that they were going to do better. And I'm still not high on what the Steelers can do either. You know, like Kenny Pickett with his tiny ass hands and his little gloves that he wears. At one point, or in that game, he was 1 for 7 with 2 interceptions in balls that he threw over 15 yards on Sunday. Not so good.
Yeah,
and I fear that might be a trend for him.
Yeah, I think this will be the first year in a long time that the Steelers don't make the playoffs.
And the thing is that not just playoffs, but like 500. I mean, Mike Tomlin, I think, has had 15, 16, 17 years of being over 500. He's never had a losing season.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And, they were dead to rights last year, and then they,
Didn't
blew through it, and they were able to get back to 500 on the year.
Didn't Chicago play Green Bay?
Yeah.
I think Chicago will be fine. I think we got to give Green Bay a little bit more credit.
Yeah,
I don't think
agree.
anyone expected Jordan Love to look the way he did.
He did.
And it's like Aaron Jones was balling out until he got hurt. But they didn't even have Watson, their best receiver.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that, at least I'll speak for myself, that sometimes during the offseason I stop considering, besides the big name guys, is head coaches and how much they mean. And LaFleur is no joke. I mean, he's a serious coach. He knows football, and he obviously can make this team look good. And they played well.
And give Jordan Love credit. And he wasn't just sitting
absolutely.
there. You know, he was learning, and he showed out.
Yeah, but on the other side, for the Bears, you've got Matt Eberflus, and where will that take you?
That's the part that sucks. Is
not far.
We will talk about week 2 in the NFL here coming up. I wanted to dabble into college football a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There was one thing that just got me. I have watched this clip probably 24, if not more times. It was something from College Game Day this past weekend, and it was what Pat McAfee, how he had the Alabama Crimson Tide fans ready, and they answered the call. This is why I love college football and their fans so much. And if people haven't heard this, it would have been fun to be part of.
The thing about getting a chance to be a part of College Game Day and why it's such a dream and an honor is because every time you go to a new place, you get a chance to feel the vibes. I was chatting with a few members of the Allah! Allah! Allah!
Community.
And they said,
Really got him fired up to lose to Texas, huh?
I tell you what, just real quick, people who hate on Pat McAfee, he's electric. Whether you like him or not, you got to admit.
Yeah, the guy is a content machine. Just to be able, right at the top of, just to be able to do this.
Oh, goodness.
So anyways, and then like you said, Alabama promptly loses to Texas, which I don't know if that was shocking to you guys. It very much felt shocking to me.
It wasn't
shocking
like other years. Texas is supposed to be good. Quinn Ewers is supposed to be good.
Yeah.
But to win in Tuscaloosa, that's the shocking part.
Yeah.
In a big game. Usually Saban shows out for stuff like this.
Well, and I think with the Quinn Ewers injury in that game last year, I don't think that we, as the watching public, got enough of a sample size of him to understand how real he is. I think Quinn Ewers is going to, I think Texas is going to be a factor
And
this
remember,
year.
they played each other last year.
Yeah, that's the game
And
he got hurt in.
Texas almost won.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the reason why I said it was shocking was, again, you bring up Texas and the hype that is seemingly always around them, and this one felt like, okay, They've got it. They could put it together. But will they? And, there was all this, talk about, if Sark can't get the job done, who's going to be the next guy? And people are already starting to throw around Deion Sanders' name as the possible, heir apparent to joining the SEC and being at Texas and being able to recruit all of that. And I was just Sark's not going to be able to do that. And then they went out and actually did it.
You know who would be a good fit at Texas is that North Carolina guy, Mac Brown.
Yeah, I was like, you're talking about Mac Brown, right?
You got to give credit to NIL too, the transfers. I mean, the same way that Colorado is good is the same way that Texas is good. Their starting running back transferred from Alabama, left Alabama, and went to Texas.
Yeah. What was it? Did we have this conversation on the pod when we were talking about when Alabama is good versus when Alabama is bad, or was that a totally different discussion?
No, we did. It was
we talked about it a little bit.
Usually, if they don't win the national championship the year before, don't go far, you expect them to just completely murder everyone in the next season.
And most of the times that they've won the national championship, they do it not ranked in the top 5 at the beginning of the season.
But you're kind of seeing a very, very tiny sample size of why Saban hates the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Because it used to be just some of these 5-star athletes that you're seeing in Texas that beat Alabama, that was all Alabama. They weren't going anywhere else but to Nick Saban. And now they're spread. Mm-hmm. Now they're everywhere.
I'm starting to see Nick Saban doing a little bit more media stuff. He sprinkled it in last year. Obviously, he's been done a lot of commercials and such. I do kind of start thinking he's preparing the beginning of the end for himself. And it just was interesting, too, to and I know that it's just the Alabama dynamic and everything. But, when you see, all these players and they're hyped up and they're just, trying to, they're just trying to have fun. Then Alabama comes out, and Nick Saban's just walking them to the front, and it just kind of seems like a little bit too professional in a way. But, I get why they do that.
Media take.
Okay, there it is. But, I mean, on the other side of things, with Colorado, you've got Shedeur Sanders, who's, rushing the guys off of the 50-yard line at Nebraska and everything, and there's just, there's a lot of other activities happening. And it just kind of seemed like Alabama was I saw them and I was like, you kind of bore me. But, whatever. Again, whatever. Media take. Speaking of Colorado and Nebraska, I lost a bet to you. And I'm going
that you initiated.
That I initiated, and I'm going to blame our friend Chad Doing. And Chad, who has been on this podcast before, he's a local radio personality.
Rip City Radio?
Yes, Rip City Radio 620. You have his phone number, right? Because you
no,
texted
I think
him
I
with
was
him?
messaging him on Instagram.
You're messaging with him? Do I have it? Well, see, my phone is being used here, so we can't give him a call.
It's late.
It is late. But I was listening to him on the radio on Friday, and I was like, you know what? You're right, Chad. This is the biggest trap when it comes to bettors, because Vegas is just going to use this to try and get their money back from XYZ against Colorado. Nebraska was a 7-point favorite. Now they're a 3-point dog, and there's all this hype around Colorado. And then he was like, that's why I'm riding Nebraska till the cows come home. And I was like, yes. And that's when I texted you guys, and I'm like, who wants to take this bet? I figured it would be Miguel.
I'm pretty sure the bet said, either of you clowns want Colorado against Nebraska. Name your price.
Yeah, and so then you take the bet, and then I get home later that night, and I see Deion's damn pregame speech about how you're not going to let people come into your house and do all that. I was like, damn it, he did it again.
Yeah.
He did it again, and it's personal and all of this, and I was like, there goes another $20.
That's all you need in college. He knows how to get his players to that level.
Yeah.
Don't bet against them until they convince you to bet against them.
And I've bet against them now 2 times in a row. So
Yeah, I'm getting excited for this the Oregon game. I know it's on my wedding day. But
it is on your wedding day, but what a perfect time for that game to be at 12:30. While we're going to be, the only problem is that if it's close towards the end of the game, then you're going to be walking down the aisle.
The ceremony's at 3.
3:30, right?
3:30.
3:30. So 12:30, 3:30. If it's into the fourth quarter, you're going to be like, all right, let's do all this. And
the ceremony is only going to be 15 minutes.
Okay. And we got to do photos.
I just want to walk down the aisle and then get to Braxton and be like, Oregon lost.
Please don't.
He's crying. He's crying. Be like, man, you haven't even seen Jerry yet. You're like,
please don't.
The Ducks lost.
Congrats.
Yeah, make sure to have the cash ready in case Oregon loses or whatever.
Hand Brigham a Colorado hat.
Please don't.
What a game that'll
man.
be. The way it's
It will
shaping
be.
up, Oregon, Colorado is going to be fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be
fun.
And again, I don't think that Dan Lanning intended it for it to be. But when he said, what has Colorado done? What have they won? Isn't that just perfect bulletin board material for good old Dion, huh?
It's just, the way Colorado is turning out this season, it's like now all of these former basketball players talking about you shouldn't have given Michael that fuel. You shouldn't have given Kobe that fuel. It's like, don't give Colorado something to talk about. Give them compliments. Don't give him the fuel for the fucking locker room pregame speech. The last thing primetime needs is more fire.
Yeah.
And he's going to fucking ruin you.
Even though I don't think in the context of Dan Lanning's comments he was necessarily trying to be rude, but I agree with you. Just be like, yeah, they're a great team.
They'll turn it into something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because remember, Matt Rule initially said something bad, and then he's like, oh, I respect what he's doing. And then Primetime Sun was like, it's too late, man.
Yeah.
It's like they
that was so
give him
funny.
that.
I don't know if you guys saw the clip, but Shador had his big over-ear headphones on, and this Nebraska player was coming up to him talking shit in his face. You could tell he just couldn't hear what he was saying. He was just bobbing his head, and then he just holds up his wrist. He's got this iced out Rolex on pregame, and he just holds it up to his face. Doesn't say a word. Just holds up his watch. He's like, yeah, bitch.
That's pretty awesome.
And all the kid was saying was like, hey, man, where'd you get that watch?
He's asking for his signature.
Like, why are you clowning me? I want your signature, and where'd you get that watch?
Oh, goodness.
So let's see. Oregon takes down Texas Tech. Poor Tyler Shuck for throwing the interception right at the end. That's a big old bummer.
Yeah, that was a good game.
It was a good game.
Big win.
Oh, look, a bodacious graphic here on ESPN just to promote Bo Nix for possible Heisman or whatever. I remember we were talking about Florida or Texas A&M possibly coming back, and then they get a roundhouse by Miami, so that was no good. But let's see. If we've got the week 3 in college football, let's go down for some good top 25. Let's see. No one's playing anyone. No one's playing anyone. No one's playing anyone. And no one's playing anyone. Do we even have 2 teams playing?
When's conference play start? Week 4, 5?
Oregon's got Hawaii.
Week 4, yeah.
Colorado's got Colorado State. Yeehaw. Florida, Tennessee. No.
Florida sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's a 6.5-point favorite there. An interesting game.
That should be a good game historically.
Historically,
you know what I mean?
yeah. One game that has some interesting storylines is the Washington and Michigan State game. Obviously, you're going to have the Big Ten implications here coming up in a couple of years. But then there's all this stuff going on with Mel Tucker and that Brenda Tracy gal who was...
That's just messy.
Yeah, it's a big old messy situation. So now they've got their head coach that is suspended.
Scott Hansen involved.
Yeah, with something.
Figure it out.
That is just... There's a lot happening.
Scott Hansen from Red Zone is involved?
Is that the same guy? No,
Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen.
Sorry.
What did Red Zone do?
Get Scott Hansen involved.
Remember when
Too
Chris
many
Hansen was on our podcast?
Get Hansen. I know he's in our show open.
With Colorado and Oregon and even Oregon State doing well, the Huskies are flying under the radar.
Sure are.
And the
number
Huskies,
I mean, they're ranked like 8.
joke.
they're ranked 8.
But how many like Bleacher Reports, Barstool, how many people have you seen talk about University of Washington, even though they're ranked 8th?
I mean, in the articles I've read, most of the time when they're talking Pac-12, Washington is one of the first teams they're meant. It's usually USC, Utah, then Washington.
Well,
Phoenix is for real.
The Huskies could be 5-0 when they meet Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see on October 13th.
It's going to be a great season.
Seems like they always play the Huskies when we're going to Oregon State for a game.
I think you're probably right.
It's usually the same week.
But kind of a crappy slate of college games, unfortunately. You know what? There will be probably a few surprise games. So you go, oh, that was fun to watch. But when you're looking at like high-profile games, right? Everyone's trying to like round up their non-conference schedule before
Washington
they get into
State beat ranked Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Saturday.
right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's big time.
Go Cougs in the Pac-2. Oregon State and Washington State successfully sued the Pac-12 from being able to hold a meeting. So that's another messy situation that it's just kind of like you have no idea how it's going to resolve, but obviously everything is money-driven. And I think that Oregon State and Washington State were within their rights to say, like, hey, like these guys are leaving the conference for a ton of money, and they're also trying to like siphon all of the funds from the Pac-12 on their way out. Like, what can you do there? And the reason why Oregon State and Washington State are trying to hang tight is that they see that there's all this money that they could get from the Rose Bowl, because when they lost the Rose Bowl to the college football playoff, there were all of this slush fund money that was getting paid out. They were getting paid $50 million a year, the conference was, so that's all going to be within this fund. And if there's only 2 of them, then they could, split that money
regardless
themselves.
of how much you know about the whole situation, the simplified version of it is you can't be in the initial planning of something and then bounce and be like, oh, I have a voice.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, we're not going to go on this trip, but this is what you guys should do.
Right,
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
like, you can go fuck yourself. You're not a part of this anymore.
And basically have a quorum enough to then, like, screw those 2 people on their way out. It's just not good business. Not good business.
Apparently, one of the rumors is the president of University of Arizona kind of was a big part of the mess, where he went to the Big 12 and said, hey, take us, take ASU, take this team,
Utah,
leave Oregon State and Washington State. It's like a real sketchy way to go about it. And ASU didn't even want that, apparently. ASU was like, we don't want to fucking go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Mitch who told me, he was like, yeah, did you hear the head coach for Arizona State was like, where the fuck is West Virginia? Was it like Morgantown? Yeah, my team's going there. I'm not fucking going to Morgantown.
What a disaster this all is. Just an absolute disaster.
Yeah, this next year is going to be, I think it's going to be funny in a lot of ways with all this conference realignment, seeing these teams travel and try to just logistically handle this new schedule that they're going to take on is going to be, I'm sure, comical at some points.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of seems like a quote unquote week off from college football. Not a lot happened. I'm going to watch every game, obviously.
Yeah, we'll still waste our time doing that.
But
Don't get us wrong.
not a lot of like high profile matchups.
We do obviously every week in the NFL is a high profile matchup. Thursday night we have the Eagles and Vikings. I think that'll still be a good game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game.
Despite what the Vikings are doing there, but I'll ride the Eagles there.
The Vikings are frisky no matter what. Vikings are frisky.
Yeah, they'll find a way to blow that game. The Bengals-Ravens game is going to be very interesting because of how the Bengals can bounce back. Obviously, this will be their first home game.
Even the Ravens didn't play very good. It's kind of a bounce-back game for both
I
of
didn't
them.
even know he did have Mark Andrews.
Yeah, he's injured.
And now no more J.K. Dobbins. They're going to have to do running back by committee.
They're running back.
Like Dobbins is just like
That's 2 years in a row, right?
My goodness, yeah. It's just really unfortunate for guys who just keep getting hurt, just all around. You don't like that on anyone. The Seahawks Lions and their home opener there.
Bounce back game for the Seahawks,
I suppose, but I mean, like, I'm interested to see what's going to continue to happen with like the running back situation. I kind of thought that maybe to a degree that Gibbs was going to get a little bit more action, but I probably should have read, because then Dan Campbell was saying that Gibbs was not going to get a full workload. Maybe eventually he'll take that away.
Got a full workload. He just didn't score a touchdown. If you're basing it off of fantasy, you didn't get touchdowns.
I got 8
out
points
of him.
in fantasy.
I mean, but
all over.
They were split.
receptions.
He was splitting time.
He was splitting time with Montgomery.
Yeah.
You knew that coming in. Like,
I
you
did.
knew it was not
Yeah.
going to be like.
Yeah.
There's a reason Montgomery went
Yeah.
to the team.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clear that they were going to be splitting time, but
I was just kind of hoping that Gibbs would show out a little bit.
Is it in Detroit?
It is
yeah,
in
it's their
Detroit.
first home game.
Colts Texans, no thank you. Bucks Bears, no thank you. Chiefs Jags will be a good game, hopefully.
That's a rematch of the what round last year?
I think it was divisional round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who knows how they will use Kadarius Toney? Obviously, that was like
Not
a big,
at all.
Yeah, it was
He's
pretty.
the new ball boy.
It was pretty wild to see him very single-handedly cost a team a game. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like
Sky Moore was up there too. They both had very significant drops.
right. But I mean, like you have the one that goes like in and out of your hands for a pick six, and then you also have one that's wide open as you're like going to be like coming down to try and win the game, and you just drop it.
I think
it was
ultimately
bad
the
timing.
Chiefs are fine after week 1, but you can't help but be concerned if you're a Chiefs fan, because you're like, so this is what it looks like without Travis Kelce?
Yeah.
Like, this is who we have to, like Justin Watson, Noah Gray, Sky Moore, and Toney.
Did he even complete a ball to like? I think he completed a couple passes to wide receivers, but not very many.
Well, Watson and Gray, I guess, are tight ends, but it was a lot of dumps to running backs. And then Pacheco gets hurt, which is bad for me.
Right.
I was high on that guy. I don't think they're the type of team. I don't think Andy Reid and I don't think Patrick Mahomes is the type of guy that gives up on a dude, though. Toney is way too talented.
Yeah.
I think first thing they'll do next game is they'll throw to him.
Yeah.
And
Then
give
they'll
him that
throw-
confidence back.
Right. I mean, whoever needs if he's still available, maybe just add him and just roll the dice and see how that goes in fantasy. I mean, like in all class from Andy Reid and from Patrick Mahomes, basically just deflecting, owning their share of it. I mean, Andy Reid did have the opportunity to use all of his timeouts and do all that, but still they gave themselves bad field. A bad field, they turn it over, and then that cost them the game.
Dan Campbell got very lucky
He did.
in that game. He made what I thought was kind of a fuck up and didn't call a timeout when they had 3, and they went for it on 4th down and didn't get it. Lucky for him, Toney and Sky Moore dropped balls because the Chiefs could have easily gone down and won that game.
Yeah.
And
They
I was
should
like,
have.
why are you not calling a fucking timeout? It's like his ego and his pride got the better of him, and he just ran a 4th down play without setting
kicked it.
anything up.
They should have kicked it, is what they should have done. I mean, like Patrick Mahomes has proved that he can go down the field in 13 seconds. So let's see. We'll see if the Giants can bounce back from the Cardinals against the Cardinals. Who knows there? Jets Cowboys, an interesting game because the Cowboys, you've got that 40-0 stand that they had in week 1, and then Micah Parsons could just like feast all over Zack Wilson in week 2.
I think the Giants will be fine. I don't think anyone will be fine against Cowboys D. That was an insane fucking showing by a defense. It was like there's not even a line there. They were just getting in the backfield like they were playing a fucking Pop Warner team.
Yeah.
They were everywhere.
But I also think that the Giants have regressed. I think they're not going to be that same team that had, that spark last year. I don't think that they're going to be great. And I think that the Cowboys will settle into the mean, as they always do.
Yeah, they sure will.
Well, remember,
I mean, they started out like 7-8-0, and then they found a way to be very
the Giants,
average.
though, they didn't come out playing insanely good last year. It was like towards the playoffs where they started clicking.
And you could see in that game that for whatever reason the Giants as a team did not come ready to play. I mean, there was mistake after mistake after mistake that just led to the Cowboys scoring quickly off blocked field goals, interceptions, and things like that. So I think in some ways you can kind of, write that up as, it's just a bad week. We weren't ready to play. We were not prepared.
Also, weather does play a factor in football. Let's not kid each other. The number of comments I saw in that Giants-Cowboys game or the other cup, like Bengals-Browns, was like, get a fucking dome. Just, why leave it open?
Yeah.
Just get a fucking dome, dude.
For sure. The Broncos-Commanders game, while I don't think that it's going to be like, oh my gosh, these teams are great, I think that there's a lot of new things happening with both teams.
Yeah.
I thought that, Russell Wilson looked pretty decent with Sean Payton in week 1. Do you disagree? He has 2 touchdowns to go
I need
along
more
with it.
time. I need more time.
You need more time on that? All right.
If we're comparing him to peak Russell with Seattle, would he put up 16 points? Isn't that what he put up?
Yeah.
I think he looks the same.
Think he looks the same?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it
I
took
need more
him like
time.
3 weeks to even get 2 touchdowns last year, so I'd say he's a little bit ahead of schedule now.
Maybe it'll help when Judy's back, but I don't have much hope for Russell.
But I do think, like you were saying, this is a prove-it game for both of these teams. Have they made the right decisions? Can, they put it together? But I think the most exciting game is Monday night.
Sure. Browns at the Steelers.
Browns Steelers Monday.
If the Browns stomp all over the Steelers too, 2-0.
Ever heard of it?
The part of this episode where you pull up a 20-second bit from episode 1 of season 4 where I said the Browns are going to be scary good, and people are going to hate it. You can play it now.
Go
ahead.
I'll find a way to avoid that.
Yeah, I'm very excited
When
for
did
that.
you say that?
Dude, I just finished the episode today. I have a bunch of shit I could pull up just for receipts. I said the people are going to hate how good the Browns are going to be.
Including you.
I'm
Even
gonna
though you're
hate it.
from Cleveland.
You like massages the same way that the show.
Don't you like massages?
I do, not in that way.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've never had it that way. So.
I'm sure you'd like
Not
it.
in
I'm
one
sure-
way. Deep tissue?
Deep.
Oh. But yeah, in fact, on that Monday night, there's going to be some friends and stuff in town for the wedding. Like Matt is going to be in town, and we're going to get together at Jimmy's to watch that game on Monday night. You guys are invited.
On Monday night, huh?
Monday night. Monday.
And as Braxton said, got to take everything with a grain of salt until week 4. So Walsh's week 1 teaser,
not a big deal.
We'll forget about that.
Forget about
deal.
it.
The thing is, we'll have him on the pod probably next week or in 2 weeks, and then he'll go on a run.
Yeah,
That's what he needs.
that's how it works. We're his
We
good,
all
we are
just-
his good luck charm.
We all just need a couple of weeks to settle in.
It's week 1 for everyone.
week 1, and for my pocketbook, I might have to take week 2 off.
I'll be honest. I sat down on Sunday morning and I turned on Red Zone, and it was kind of overwhelming.
Was it was overstimulating?
It was a lot.
Were you overstimulated?
I was. I was like, whoa, they were switching around game to game. What's going on?
Mentally, when you go from no football to football, the one thing I thought of when we got back from Mitch's is I needed to charge my phone because I needed to have it on me all of Sunday. I can't have it charging in one room while I was watching football. It's the first thing I fucking did. Like, I make these little extra efforts to make sure that my Sunday is lined up where no one bothers me and I have my phone, and then I lose it all. So Monday, naturally, I put an 8 anytime touchdown guy from 2 teams. It's the thing you don't think about that's going to hit.
Exactly.
One guy scored.
Well, we'll see if I can fade myself. We will have our picks of the week.
Do we just pick each pick a lock?
Ooh, I guess we could each
Let's
lock
each
it
pick
up.
a lock from week 2 of NFL.
I really like the Chargers -3 over the Titans.
Pussy.
I think that, like we were talking about earlier, they've been able to come out and score a lot of points pretty much against everybody they've played. And I think that the Titans is the type of team who's not going to be able to match that scoring.
Especially if they're just going and targeting DeAndre Hopkins as much as they did in week 1.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Treylon Burks was just like a non-factor. Maybe they can get him rolling a little bit more. But
Yeah, and I don't think the Tennessee defense is really anything to be too worried about.
You're going to insult Mike Vrabel like that?
Sorry, Mike.
Oof.
Sorry, Mikey.
Can I go?
But I see Chargers winning by 7 here, so -3 is comfortable.
I don't see this team not bouncing back after losing 0-40. I think Giants cover -5.5 against Arizona. You don't get your ass whooped 40-0 at home and then not respond after. I think they respond against Arizona.
I think it's a good pick. One that I am kind of thinking the other way, where it was like, wait, maybe we were too good in week 1, was the LA Rams. They have Puka Nacua, who had 9 catches for 100.
Fuck you call me?
Jesus, I'm the only one with headphones on.
It's your fault.
And I just think that the Rams were like, wait, hold on, we're trying to underperform here. I am thinking that the 49ers will continue their dominance, a road 7.5-point favorite, and I do think that they will manage that fairly easily.
Who's that against?
The Rams.
So the Niners will cover.
Yeah, Niners will cover 7.5 against the Rams. The Rams don't want to be good.
Let's parlay it.
So that's at +575, meaning that 10 pays 67 each. So if we each put 10 in, $30 gets us $202.
I'm good with 10 each.
In.
Log in,
Bet it.
place the bet. We will post it on our social medias at official IJMS.
Finger guns.
Finger guns.
That's a media finger gun.
That's the finger gun of a guy who was reluctant to get his beehole bleached.
Dude, just wait. You've never taken a smoother shit until you've gotten a Brazilian wax.
Yeah. It's like having a slip and slide attached to your ass.
It's a fucking water park. It's like when they launch you into that little toilet bowl at the water park.
Yeah.
It's like that. Your turds just...
The turds are slick for some reason.
Mine is. A lot of canola oil.
I was going to say it was like a lot of essential oil.
Gotta be neutral oil, though. Neutral.
Lots of olive oil leading up.
Oh, goodness.
That's how we do.
Send us off.
That's it?
I don't
know.
No
Mas?
I don't got nothing.
Por favor. Clear your eyes.
Full hearts.
Can't lose.